When you've been through something tough and everybody had in their life, and people know it and you survive it, people come to you and ask basically how. And so one of the things I had my mother and my father. My best friend in the world is my sister, my younger sister, my brother Jimmy, Frankie, the whole family, and everybody just, for example, what I would do, I didn't want to stay in the U.S. Senate. We had a Democratic governor, and he'd appointed a successor, and another Democrat. And Senator Mansfield, Iron Mike from Montana, a man more integrity in his little finger than most people have in their whole body, and Teddy Kennedy and a guy named Fritz Hollings from South Carolina and Tom Eagleton and a few others, they all came to me and said, "Look, just stay 6 months. Help us organize." Like a damn fool, I thought that I said, "Okay, but I'm not gonna stay." And I started commuting back and forth in a train to Delaware, 300 miles round trip a day.
The reason you were commuting is you wanted to be near your 2 boys because they'd lost their mother, they lost their sister, you needed to be involved, so you would get on the Amtrak. They called you Amtrak Joe, right?
Yeah.
And you would commute to DC and do your job.
Right. That's why I'm so empathetic to people who need childcare. I could not afford childcare even if I did move to Delaware from Delaware. I was listed for 36 years as the poorest man in the United States Congress.
Right.
I never thought I was poor. I was getting the Senate salary, which was more than I'd ever made.
Yeah.
But the end result was that my family was home. So, for example, when the boys were really little, I'd go from my house, which is not far from where my parents lived. I'd be driven by my buddy Tommy Lewis, who worked for me. He'd drive me in. We'd drop at my mom, like the kids at my mom's, and then I'd go on to the train station. So I had a whole network to take care of my family.
But that's my point. What a family. Valerie, your sister, moves in basically to help you. You know, think about it. This wasn't her burden, but she moved in.
She and her husband gave up their place when I came home from the boys were hospitalized. When I came home from the hospital, they had moved in.
I mean, what a gift. And your brother Jimmy moves into the garage.
Exactly right. He made it a little apartment. Look, we have an expression in our family for real. If you have to ask, it's too late. If you have to ask, it's too late.
But you know most families aren't like this. They are not. Valerie put her whole life on hold in order to help you raise your boys. And Jimmy moves into a garage and puts his life on hold because they love you. That is the most loving. If I wrote a movie, you would say, that's a little over the top.
Well, it's who we are. I mean, it's how we were raised.